Would you say that's it?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's, I think there's a danger. There's a danger in trying to assess what's going on with an audience and affecting what you get up to. The kind of film have got into that a bit, haven't they? They sort of they will present a film to a kind of audience, and the audience will write notes about what they thought it was like, and then they will kind of go back and re-edit or change things according to that. But so within that, I think you can't kind of. But that being said, you know, when you feel that that's the whole thing you mentioning about every single night. There's a new audience, and they create a different impulse in you, and they're telling you different things on a moment-by-moment basis. They're bored, they're getting restless, they really enjoyed that. They let you know.
What do you do when you feel that they are bored and restless?
I think you subliminally, it does affect you. It does affect you, and it can affect you in bad ways, and it can affect you in good ways. Sometimes in bad ways you start to feel they're going, so you work it too hard, you start overstating, you force things, or, you know, I mean, for us especially, we have a fair amount of comedy in the show that we're doing. And we always try and remind ourselves, however the audience, whether they're very openly responsive to it or quite subdued, to try and stay true to what it is that we're up to, you know, and not feel...
We always say to each other before we go on stage, though, our thing is, listen. We always say it just before we go on.
How do you do? Because you know, in a sense, playing so many different characters, which is sort of fun, rather than the same. That, I would think that would help you keep it fresh for yourself, which when I thought was very, you know, but does that help you? I mean, you're moving from character to character. So each one has a different dynamic, which makes your performance so particularly, both of your performances so rich. And that's
I mean, there's benefits to it. There's also things where I'm now craving to do one character, to see her all the way through, because you're getting just snippets. You're just getting a tiny moment of each person's life, and I'm dying now to do something like Miss Julie, where you get to do the whole, follow her all the way through, because even though it's very exciting as an actor to constantly be changing, and we've been doing it now for almost 6 months now, we're both sort of saying, okay, it'd be so interesting to explore one of these characters all the way through. And of course, when you're preparing, for both of us, we had to prepare their pasts for the 5 different characters, so that we knew exactly who they were and where they came from.
And did you create that with the director, the past with the director, or did you do that, I mean, with that
We did it separately, and then we did it, then we all came in and we sort of talked about the characters, and we worked on them. We had a 6-week rehearsal, which is a week longer than what you usually get on a play like this. Usually you get 5 weeks. And I begged for that extra week.
Is there a value to your film career to having appeared on Broadway and in London?
I don't know.
I mean, I would speculate
the reason I've seen theatre since I was 3 years old. I was taken to pantomimes in Australia by my parents. Which you don't really have pantomimes in America, do you? No, but as a child, they're extraordinary, because you go and you sit, and I was never taken to films, I was always taken to theatre. And that I was taken to ballet, because I started off doing ballet, and then taken to pantomimes, and I loved them. I remember sitting there watching, you know, all these men dressed up as women pretending to be Cinderella, and and there's such wit and such enjoyment. And I think that's why I wanted to become an actor, is because I saw them all having such fun.
Did you study in Australia?
Did I study? Anna wants to say that.
No.
Did I study? Yes, I started. I actually started in mime. Because my mother was worked my whole life, and so did my father. So I was what you call a latchkey kid, where you would go. You know, I'd take my sister home from school and let myself in. And wait till my parents got home from work, which was usually around 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And instead of, my mother enrolled me in this class across the way from our school, which was a mime class when I was 10. And that's and we would do mime, and then we started doing street theatre. And then that segued into me begging to go to a drama school on the weekends. And that's how I started.
Marceau is coming to town.
Yeah, one of the heroes.
Going back to what you said, I think that in a case like the Beauty Queen of Leenane, in which Martin McDonagh has created his own, what we call McDonagh speak. His father was a Gaelic speaker, and that his first language is Gaelic. Therefore, Martin, I think, heard English spoken by somebody whose language was not English, so that he has this particular kind of dialect that is his own, that's Irish, but is peculiarly his own. In Irish, we would say, Thomini Yasav, which means I'm standing, but the literal English translation is, I am in my standing. Now, I say in the play, another bit of turf on the fire put, which is the literal translation. Now, we were instructed, and this is the difference, in coming to England, Australia, the United States, to remember that it's a difficult dialect, and to be clearer in the way we spoke it, and to cut down our accents, because people had to listen to this.
How do you know how to do that? How do you know how to do that?
I think you think it. I think if you think clarity, you will be clear. Would you agree with that? It's a mental thing. You don't actually do anything. You just think it.
That's great. There was one thing I wanted to get into, which is about emotion, too, we were talking about. And Lea, you, having so much experience in the musical realm, any musical, I think you would agree, that's worth its salt, only has songs where things get so exciting and so difficult and so emotional that you cannot speak anymore, you must sing. I would hope. And better sing well, too.
Oh, yeah.
Does that help keep, I mean, how do you deal? Obviously, if you're so emotional, you can't sing because
exactly.
But does that help keep, how do you deal with that? I mean, projecting that emotion in a song?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know how. We just here's the text. So I try to think of the lyrics, not so much as they're sung, but how they're said. So I try to also consciously and unconsciously work against the beat of the music. For example, there's one line in Saigon where it's like, no, no, he's coming to us tonight. Pack your things, get yourself, wila da 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 da, and the rhythm is just there. So I try to not say it that way. I try to say it first and then try to fit it into the melody. Because whenever I saw the show after I left, I'd be like this. And I feel like strangling whoever's doing it up on stage, thinking, you don't have to sing on the beat all the time, because sometimes then it sounds artificial, it sounds too sung. And in a through-sung musical, where the delineation between the lines and the songs is it's not a huge delineation, it's not like a book musical where you burst into song and then you talk again. Here you talk and sing at the same time. Yeah. I think I learned a lot of that from Jonathan Pryce when he was doing the show, seeing the way he would work.
Yes, because
as an actor
he's not a musical actor.
Yeah, and then watching the singers work in a musical. So it's easy to get the emotions. You get really lazy though once the songs start, like you are sun. Everything is just on the beat, and the music just carries you.
How do you react to the different audiences?
How do I react to different audiences? Well, there are some audiences that are so bravo, bravo, bravo every night, and then they're just standing ovation like they're like whiners.
Obviously, you react well to that.
And there's some nights when a lot of the company feels that they don't work as hard, but the reaction of the audience is just overwhelming. And there are some nights when we feel that we work a lot and we're exhausted at the end of the show, and then the audience is just so, it's, you know, so it happens.
How do you account for that?
I don't know. I don't think it's our fault.
I'm sure not.
I do not take responsibility.
The bad audience.
Sometimes it's the weather. Sometimes you're like, I'd like to think that people's coats are stuck in the seats so they can't get it. But sometimes it's just, you know, sometimes it's a bad day that affects everybody, both on that side of the stage and on this side.
I think it's a wonderful mystery.
I
think
don't know what it is.
No, if you could answer that question, then you kind of lose the whole nature of theatre. That why audiences are different and why they react in different ways, and the makeup that is can be so subtly or
Friday night at
radically
Les Mis, though,
different.
was like,
What do you do when you don't get the reaction that you normally do with an audience?
Well, in Les Mis, they called Friday night, it's steak and, was it steak and beer? It was steak and something night. They couldn't get up. That's what